So, about 31 years ago, right around this time, I made the big decision that I was going to go to college. I was an 18-year-old girl growing up in Chicago, Illinois, on the west side, and I just made a decision that the best thing for me to do was to go ahead and leave for college. And now I think 31 years later, I am in a great position to share with today's college goers the 31 things that I would have done differently if I knew what I know today and I was leaving for college. So let's get started with day one. My name is Passion Darby, and I am a four-time college graduate. I absolutely love going to college. I love to learn, and I love my and appreciate my education. But there are some things that I would have done differently if I had the knowledge base that I have today and the intelligence and maturity that I have today. And so, hopefully, as I share with you all the things that I would have done differently over the next 31 days, that you all will get to know me and that you will be able to learn from some of my errors or course correct or pivot or just think differently about some plans that you may have as you are preparing to go to college. So, the first thing that I would have done differently if I knew what I know today, 31 years ago, I would have honestly started my business before I left for college. Now, I know that might be a little controversial because I think that all young people should have the college experience if that is what they want. But I also know after being an employee for the last couple of decades that it is very important that you own something of your own, and it is also very important that you own yourself. And I think that entrepreneurship is one of the best ways to go about doing that. And I also think about the fact that I graduated from college 25 years ago. And had I started my business prior to leaving for college, I probably could have graduated from college and been able to work for myself full time. I think that would have saved me a lot of turmoil, a lot of confusion, a lot of stress, and I would have been very proud to have graduated and have built something for myself using not only my time in college but campus resources. So, um, to make that up to my 18-year-old self, I am spending the next year redeeming all those 31 things that I am beginning to share with you today and will share with you over the next 31 days. And so by doing that, I am launching my business today. I told myself that that was my biggest mistake that I made when I left before leaving for college. I did not launch my business, although I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was a little girl. I always knew I wanted two things. I wanted to travel, well, I would say three, travel around the world, attend college, and I wanted to own myself. And I always saw myself as an entrepreneur and owning myself by way of entrepreneurship. And so today, I'm making it up to myself by launching my business, whether I am ready or not. And trust me when I say I am absolutely not ready, but I'm committed to myself that I am going to do this for myself and correct the mistakes of my past. So here we are on day one. Now, some of the ways that you can learn from the mistake that I made, if you are interested in doing so, is first, if you're leaving for college, I think you might want to consider entrepreneurship. Think about the way that things are going in our world today and how important it is to own yourself. And I think that the time in your life when you do not have any major responsibilities, you might not have children, you may not have any large expenses. This is the time to um, launch your business and do and you should if you are interested in that, I think you should consider doing that before you leave for college. That way you'll have a few months to set yourself up, to set the foundations for your business before you enter a time consuming college schedule. So that's one thing you can do. The second thing is you should start small. One of the reasons why I don't think I launched my business when I was 18 is because I had not seen anyone start small as an entrepreneur. I admired people who were entrepreneurs that I saw on television, but I had never seen their development process. So I think if you just start small, like I'm doing here, you can just get started. Don't be afraid to start small. The third way that you can learn from me is to start scared. Believe me when I say I am terrified right now. I am actually sitting in front of a picture of my mother for courage, and I am in my makeshift studio, aka my bedroom, and I am terrified of launching my business right now and having my voice and my message and my ideas go out into the world via YouTube. But I committed to doing this because I've been scared for too long and I will not allow my fears to control me anymore. So I am starting scared, and I suggest you do the same if you see entrepreneurship in your future or you would like to launch a business before leaving for college. The next thing is choose an entrepreneurial college. I am very lucky, a little bit. I am very lucky to have attended and graduated from Clark Atlanta University, and I graduated in 1998. And at that time, and probably still today, Clark Atlanta has an awesome business program. But I'm not so lucky because I was not aware of their program until I actually was very well into my major, which was radio, television, film. So by the time I understood the gift that was on campus for me, the entrepreneurs who were teaching the courses and also running businesses and writing books about entrepreneurship and achievement, it was pretty much too late for me because I was about to graduate. So I think one of the things that you can do if you would like to be an entrepreneur and start your business before going to college is make sure you select a college that can nurture the entrepreneur in you, that has good resources like Clark Atlanta University had, and that you are aware of those resources before you land on campus so that you can leverage them all 4 or 2 years if you're at a community college, but all 2 to 4 years or 1 to 3 years if you're in grad school of your academic life. The next thing that you can do is, and if you see here ruffling of the papers, I have notes, but like I said, I'm starting anyway because I committed to starting. The other thing is to establish your why. I think if I had a strong enough why when I was 18 leaving for college, I would have committed to entrepreneurship. But at that time, to be honest with you, my parents made it, and my grandmother made it so easy for me to go to college, and I'm grateful for that. They really just required me to go to college and do a good job to be excellent in my college going experience. They did not require me to work. They I didn't work my first job until I was a senior in college, which I regret. But they did not require me to work. They just required me to do well and to carry myself with dignity in class, which I did. But if I knew then what I know now, which is that I wanted to retire early, then that would have been a strong enough why for me to say, you know what, mom and dad and grandma, thank you for your kindness, but I'm going to work, or I'm going to start a business so that I can produce income and begin my entrepreneurial and retirement path. Another why could be you want to pay your tuition outright and not take out student loans. I think that's a great reason. Another why could be that you want to own yourself. As I said earlier, when you graduate, you don't want to have to go through the employment pool of the workforce, the labor force, into the marketplace and do some things that you may not want to do. or do some work that you don't want to do. So you need to think about your why, establish your why so that you can stay committed to your entrepreneurial goals while you are in college. Another thing is use your departure months to set up the foundation for your business. Like I stated before, um, you can say, okay, so for instance, for me, when I decided to go to college, it was around January of 1993. And I said to myself, um, that and I would have said to myself, sorry, I would have said to myself, if I were you in your position, I'm going to spend the next 6 months before I actually depart from college setting up my foundation. And that could be incorporating your business. And these days, because there was no internet when I went to college, but these days it could be setting up your website, setting up your e-commerce site, anything like that that will get you ready for success in your business so that, like I said earlier, when you start your college schedule, you won't be overwhelmed and your business will not suffer. Another thing you can do is create an entrepreneurial graduation goal. Okay, I love this tip because when we go to college, we're so excited about our graduation date and we're just, all just putting all of our energy into getting to that finish line. But you can have a co-finish line, a co-graduation date. And you can say, okay, by the time I graduate, I want my business to have this many clients. Or by the time I graduate, I want to have made this much revenue. Or by the time I graduate, I want to have this many contracts. So you can have a co-graduation goal so that way when you graduate, you'll have two things to celebrate and maybe even two different parties, a graduation party and a business party. The next thing is consider majoring or minoring in business. Now, if I knew if I knew at 18 what I know today, I would have doubled majored at Clark Atlanta University in business and made radio, television, film. Now, I am very appreciative of my time as a radio, television, film student, so I would not abandon that at all. But I would have definitely double majored in business because, again, Clark had this wonderful program and I would have been able to take advantage of it while also pursuing my other goal, my then goal of being a newscaster. So you can also minor in business, or you can do what I just did in my most recent graduate program. I tripled minored, but we'll talk about that another time. So you can do all of those things. So just consider that as an alternative or a way to leverage entrepreneurship while you are in college. Another thing you can do is consider a digital business. So, like me, maybe you're like me, whereas I was living in Chicago and I was leaving to go to college down south. So, of course, there was no internet when I went to I left for college, but you have an advantage. Whereas you can have a digital business, and with that, you can take your business anywhere you want to. So, even if you are going to college or the university abroad, you can still pack your business up and take it right with you. So, consider that if you are considering entrepreneurship before going to college. The next thing is set a college-based revenue goal, such as I will use my revenue to pay my tuition. So this goes back to our why. So if I were leaving for college today, that's exactly what I would do. I would tell my parents, you know what, mom and dad and grandma, thank you so much for your help. And I will ask for your help if I need it. But you know what? I'm going to be brave and courageous and I'm going to start my business. And I'm going to have a revenue goal that's equal to my tuition amount. And I'm going to pay my own tuition and I'm going to fund my own social activities because my mother was very good about funding my social activities while I was in college. And so I would have done that. So that's something that you can consider as well. Come up with some sort of college-based revenue goal. Do you want to pay your tuition while you are in college? Do you want to pay off your student loans before you when you immediately after graduation as a graduation present to yourself? Do you want to pay back people who've invested in your education while you were in college? Do you want to use the money for that? Do you want to use the money to take yourself on a nice vacation after you graduate? So, you can set your revenue goal realistically for you, and you can use a college related goal to set that revenue goal. So, those are just some tips that you can use to consider over the next 6 months if you are actually leaving for college in the fall. And you don't have to be a freshman, you don't have to be a sophomore or a junior or senior, because if you are a college student, you are still leaving for college in the fall. So if you are interested in being an entrepreneur and learning from my mistake of not pursuing entrepreneurship before leaving for college, consider the tips that I gave you today. And also subscribe if you want to hear the second thing that I would do differently if I were leaving for college today. And that will take place tomorrow. And I think that's all I want to say today. And I think I'm just reading my notes. I think that's it. Okay. So tomorrow I will let you know what's the second thing that I will do differently. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you will subscribe and go to college. Bye.